So I'm back at Mache's shop, and the Dino is in a very, very different state. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about here, Mache. Let's see. So what did you find? You stripped. So you chemically stripped this car.
Yes, the car was stripped chemically from the beginning, just because the factory used a very tough primer. It was a more time-consuming process than usual. But overall, this is one of the nicest Ferraris from 70s that I've seen in metal.
Yeah. Well, that's good news. I mean, you know, the great thing about seeing this car is when we found it, we knew that it was a low mileage car. You know, we know that it was painted, it had that horrible blend. But I always say people don't paint a car for no reason. They're usually, and especially this car was half painted. So like I'm thinking that something happened and they painted half this car. So we said, look, we're going to paint it the right way, but we don't know what we are going to find. And did you find anything?
I found about 3 or 4 dings, and there's one little section in the back where the plate goes, and there's a little rust right there, but it's only surface stuff.
So we don't. So why was this car painted? Why did they blend it so badly?
Lacquer has the lacquer that these cars were finished in 70s has a tendency to shrink and crack, and becomes it has this like a dry mud look.
Yeah, and it has a craquelure that gets in that little micro cracks.
And you can polish it, and it will never go away, or eventually will come back. So, in my personal opinion, for some reason, the doors and the driver's side, it just looked worse. And they say, okay, we're gonna put it was probably painted with single stage red, which was a little bit brighter than original shade of this particular color, but overall it was 3/4 of the car was repainted for basically no reason.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So the funny thing is you sent me a video, and this is the funny part that I screwed up on, because when we first saw this car, I said, oh my god, the dark paint that is mismatched, that's the blend.
That's the blend.
But what ended up happening was it was the single stage that was smoother and nicer that was the newer paint, and it was the lacquer that we think.
The ugly blend was the original paint job. So I think I figured out what's the problem with this blend here. So this blend over here, this is not a blend. And this section right here, this whole side plus this side, this is actually all original paint, lacquer. So we see gray primer, beige primer, and we have steel right there. Now we look to the other side, which we thought that this whole thing was original paint. This is a repaint. Okay, we have a single stage red, the dark. In this case, this is a sealer. Then we go to the original red, gray, beige, and steel again. So I believe that this 3/4 of this car was repainted, and the dark side, which you can see right there, this is the original red, which got very dark over the years.
So that was where I was actually mistaken. I mean, obviously it was still a blend, it was still half the car, but it was the other half of the car that was nicer.
That's right. That
was the repaint, and the darker, duller paint was the lacquer, because when you sent me the video, it's like you took I mean, it's almost like you sand the paint off, and you could see how many layers are there, and there were more layers on the shinier side. So that was kind of like, wow, that was a good lesson, to realize that was the blend. And you know, we also kind of decided that maybe things were fading at different rates. That's why it got darker and all that.
This car lived in the West Coast all its life, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of sun, it fades differently. But I mean, look, I mean, that's what I think is amazing. I mean, we look closer at all this.
What's amazing, I always look at it because I'm a metal shaper and I do a lot of metal work. I love these welds. Look at these welds. Right. They finished from the factory. This is like somebody just pretty much melted the pieces together
and polished it flat,
file it flat, and it's unbelievable.
No, because when you think about this weld, like how to do this smooth, I mean, first you put I think it was a gas weld, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was a gas weld.
Yeah,
that's
so
correct.
They gas welded.
But this was done on a buck. You know, they had everything on the buck.
Yeah, but you still have to planish it from both sides after, because it's going to stand high. There's going to be highs and lows.
That's correct.
And there's not a single high or low spot on this whole curve of this fender. And on top of it, not only there's no high and low, it's like they
the weld is actually slightly below the surface. So when they put that heavy the beige color paint, that's actually the first primer they used, and that's almost like a heavy filler primer, and it covers all this. None of the scratches on these cars was visible. When you do the bodywork today, first thing you start with a smooth surface. So stuff like this you try to eliminate. So over the years the paint doesn't shrink and doesn't sink into those little scratches.
But I think also I'm still going back to the metalwork. I mean, when you look at how well these were done, it was pretty nice, because now, I hate to say it, but a lot of people don't do this.
That's correct.
And there's these big craters in here, and this is all, like, when you see a car, when they show, like, on, you know, whatever, social media. I know, we see it all the time. We see social media, and this place, the whole thing has got primer on it, and then it's just got, and they're just sanding all that stuff, because what they've done is they're not showing it like bare metal, where they show these welds are so smooth, because these welds, there's a big bump, there's craters, and then by the time you see it on social media, it's all smooth, because they've already passed this point. They don't dare show it like this, because it doesn't look like this.
That's correct.
And so this is what bad body work is. So someone basically sectioned the nose, because evidently there was an accident here. This is a P1800, and so what they did was they either got a new section, headlight section, and then this was probably the original fender, and this is how they attached it. And you could see from the color that was brazed. So to attach two pieces of metal, instead of of spot welding and seaming and all that other stuff, they brazed it in.
But there's nothing wrong with brazing.
There's nothing wrong with brazing,
because brazing flexes, and a lot of manufacturers actually made joints in some sections of the vehicles.
But if you did it right, but look at the heat. The amount of heat they put into these two pieces of steel warp the steel as they're putting filler in. So when you put like that much heat into it, the metal is going to shrink, and then the braze is certainly going to connect the two pieces of metal, but then you've added all these ripples because the metal is turned molten from the heat, because you put too much heat in it.
That's right.
Then it melts the steel, melts the braze, and everything becomes this dimple. And then what do? You can get underneath with a hammer and dolly and try to pound all this stuff out, but I hate to think what it looks like underneath here. It's probably gobs of dripping brass and everything. But the point is, it's like, how do you get this back up? Well, what did they do? They just put filler in. They just totally, if you take this ruler and you look at what they did, was they just basically filled that whole gap with filler and a cheese grater.
And most likely, they started here and they finished here. So this thing was probably about quarter inch, half an inch tall.
And the joke that we have is when you put the picture on Instagram, you have this beautiful, smooth, primered surface, and you don't even see, because they never show this. So this is kind of cool to show, like, the original paint. Like, this is an original body.
And factory quality.
Look at this is lead. I think this color change is lead. So what they did was they had, when you look at this was a little thing that they weren't happy with, so they actually leaded this in, and yet it's
you can feel this. There's no difference in height of the surface.
So really nice work.
It's just done so nice.
Oh wow. And then this, so nothing here, nothing
here. There's like the typical rust spots. They're not there.
Wow.
So like I said, this is the worst section. I think it looks like a small Italian plate.
Yeah, no, I think this is what happens is water gets trapped in here. What happens on
started rotting
No, what happens here on the back of all these cars is the exhaust comes out, it slaps up against the back. Also what happens is, when you think about the exhaust is acidic. All that exhaust comes back. There's a negative pressure area in this back, so air gets slapped back up here, and then when you have a license plate, it traps that acidic fluid or just exhaust, and it rots this back. But luckily it didn't go through. I mean, it's a little rough.
No, this is just. I have to do some surface cleaning on that.
But that's not bad, because you can see it also is trying to get discolored here, but there's really no damage here.
No, everything is very nice.
Wow.
Couple little dings by the bumper area. Maybe somebody bumped into here. This is a little bit unsmooth.
Yeah, just a parking lot thing that pushed.
But that's about it. Yeah. So.
Wow, I was totally wrong. Yeah. Totally wrong. Like, this car never got hit. Nope. Again, same thing. Here's lead work.
Yep.
They let it in this area to resolve this shape.
Yes.
But it's really nice.
This piece was probably welded in. There's probably weld that goes on top and the bottom.
But it was too low. So they filled, like, there's lead from here all the way back to here. So this is all lead. That's right, and you can hear it. Yeah. no, great work. I mean, this is just, it's kind of nice. I've seen a couple of these nice unmolested bodies, but this is one of the nicest I've seen. And then this is nice and smooth.
Those are the critical sections when you always have to paint the car. These have to be spotless because this is the first spot where
that water's going to collect.
Yeah, paint wants to lift, you know.
Yeah, and then this one, even you can see the original has little. There's little dimples here.
That's
that
right.
Need to be resolved.
But no, it's very.
And the roof looks great. This is all leaded in here to make that.
So roof, it's a one piece that was. I believe that some of the sections were actually pressed pieces, and some of them were still shaped. Hood was, for example, shaped with the shrinking hammer, so you can see you could see the shrinking marks. But the same thing, hood is spotless as well. There's one little ding on it. So.
Now what is this? This is
lead, but this is actually I put the rust because this has been stripped for 4 days.
Okay.
So I put this rust protective, and it changes slightly the color of the lead.
So that was lead still.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So that's great.
This is lead as well.
Because usually what happens on these Dinos is they're going to rot right here because all this water drains through these holes and then they collect in here. But I mean, the way it looks right now, it looks pretty good. But you're going to end up taking. We are going to take this black off.
It's going to go all the way to the edge down
to the pinch weld.
Yep.
But so far, it doesn't look bad.
Doesn't look bad at all.
Looks really good. And then more lead work here. You know, again, this is how they did it. And obviously you're going to, we talk about it, but we leave the lead.
That's right.
We seal it.
There is no corrosion underneath. There's no reason to take it off. If there was something growing from underneath, yes, we definitely
and actually, I feel like this original lead stuff is, I mean, it lasted, 40 years already without bubbling or anything like that. Why would you remove 50 years? Plus. Yeah, why would you remove it?
That's right.
Why would you remove it and then put plastic filler, which is less durable and also can absorb water, and lead's not going to absorb it like that. So as long as it's not compromised, and it looks pretty good.
Yep, looks pretty good.
Man, this looks really nice.
I also have these pieces are already epoxy primed, which we use these days to secure the metal work. So this is pretty much all in epoxy.
Yeah, looks good. And it wasn't nothing bent or anything. Everything's nice and sharp.
No, the deck lid and everything. Somebody repainted this, so we're gonna have to. You see how ugly that is?
So we're
gonna have to retouch that.
There's a undercoating, like a rough rubberized undercoating underneath there, where we spray that.
So we're gonna do that, but I just
wanted a little bit of overspray from before. But yeah, that looks pretty good.
That looks pretty good. And if somebody, where the time consuming goes, you got to clean all these little guys inside, outside, because that's how the factory finished it. And this stays in the same color, and this stays in black. So
the other really nice thing about this is the engine lid, but the two lids that are really dangerous, because it's nice to see original steel, because this really smooth piece tends to potato chip because they take so much metal away, refining it, that it gets thin.
That's right.
And like it ripples. The other one, the trunk lid.
The rear deck lid, the trunk lid that goes all the way back, that's the soft guy.
Yep. And that one, let's see how that one looks.
Hold on, let me just try to grab this. This one's got a big flat surface, so...
Yeah, and what ends up happening is, luckily, I think it's still all original.
Yes.
So it hasn't been messed.
And it's actually, this looks like a factory, so,
so maybe it's ever been a part. But this part is the part we gotta be really careful.
And it's a little bit soft.
You can hear it, yeah.
But that's normal on these Dinos, so... you just gotta be...
Leave it alone and don't
careful.
touch it. Yep. But that's...
Same thing, not a single dent on it, so...
That's great. No, and that's what happens is that when those get worked, they start grinding away metal, and what already you can hear that little oil canning gets worse when it gets paper thin, and then there's nothing you can do about it because there's usually unless you reskin it. So that's good news.
It's a really good candidate for shiny paint job.
I think it's going to look great. I mean, like this is what you hope for, is to have a car with very little damage and all original.
This car did not have any fender benders. It doesn't look like it was ever hit on the parking lot. It's all perfectly.
This is going to be amazing. I mean, I'm looking at this car and thinking about what this car is going to be. This car is going to be an original 20,000 mile car with the paint back on it. I mean, that's going to be a pretty rare car. I mean, 20,000 original like single layer of paint on it. It's going to be pretty spectacular. Well, great. No, this is exciting. Can't wait to see the next step. But thanks for thanks for moving forward on this.
Yeah, we're going to keep going, and it should be, maybe it's going to be like a Christmas present,
You think that soon? You never make promises you can't keep, but let's, like I said, just, it takes what it takes. I agree.
Yeah.
I never...
Metalwork is the killer.
Well, that's the thing, so the great news about this is because it doesn't need the metalwork, we're really into sealing, priming, block sanding a little bit, refitting everything, and then paint. So we are ahead of schedule, but I always never rush because I want to make sure it's done right. Cures, it has enough time to cure, it has enough time to settle, has all that other stuff. But no, this is great news. We've just jumped ahead a little bit without having to do body work. But yeah, that's great. Well, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so the mechanic struggle of the week is that this seal at the bottom of an oil pan gave up the ghost. It had one last tightening because it's been over tightened through the years, and it pulled the thread out. So my problem was I am not skilled enough to mount this on my Bridgeport. Because honestly, the best way to do it is to helicoil it or put new threads into it. But it needs to be straight. I mean, you can't really do it with, people have done it with a drill and just done it in the car. But the right way to do it is to do it where you actually mount it straight. It's absolutely dead nut straight, because the whole point of that seal is it's got to be square so that the washer seals, flat to that. So I'm back at Charlie's shop, and Charlie's going to help me do this because he knows how to do this a lot better than I do. But we're going to go with an 18 millimeter plug as opposed to the original 16, because we could, as they say, there's 100 ways to skin a cat. But what happens is we could have just drilled it and put a 16 helicoil in. Some people like helicoils, some people don't. Some people want to put in they'd rather put in a time cert, but the other way to do it is to go oversize at 18. That way we're cutting the aluminum threads. There's plenty of meat here to still seal it, and we'll just go one size over, cut the threads out originally, and then just tap an 18 by 1.5 thread into it, and then you're good to go with a new washer. But the reason why I'm here at Charlie's is because he certainly has the jigs to set this up better than I do. I was trying to figure it out. I'm just not skilled enough to get my Bridgeport set up as well as...
We're going to try it again.
You're going to try. I think he's going to have a better success at doing it than I am. So, and also now I can see how he does it. Maybe I can figure out how to one day do it on my own Bridgeport, but it's always good to learn.
Okay.
All right, so this is the rig. This is how it's all attached. The idea of it is that we're going to spot face with this cutter, that face for the drain plug. So we're pretty close. Obviously it's parallel to the ribs and it kind of gets everything in place, and we have it flush to the bottom of the oil pan because that's a machine surface. So we have this section this way correctly square, and then to get it this way square, it's more of an eyeball. But at the same time, once we eyeball this thing in and this is faced, then the Bridgeport is actually square to the actual face, which is the sealing surface, and then we're going to drill the hole, and that's what makes it. So that's how it's all going to be square. It almost doesn't matter if this is off by a little bit because it's the head is square to the hole. So it's funny, as Charlie's lining this up, I just think of all the people who are trying to do this thing with a drill, under a car, and that's impossible. So this is the right way to go, even though it takes time and effort to get it right. This is the right way to do it.
So we got that.
Yep.
Now let's hope that with the thread pulled out, that should be pretty close to the right size.
Yeah.
hole a little bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
let's get that. Well, I got the new hole drilled out, the new size. Everything is nice and square. You can see that it's been refaced, so that surface area for the washer is going to seal nice and tight. And now I can put it back in the car. But that's a Ferrari mechanic struggle of the week that's been solved.